I started working night shifts at a small hospital in Tokyo because I thought hospitals were the safest place to be at 3 a.m. Bright lights. Staff on duty. Cameras everywhere. No drunk guys on the train. No dark alleys. Just white corridors, vending machines, and the soft beeping of monitors. For a while, it felt that way. Then I found the room that was already discharged. My name is Naoki. I'm a university student, and during my second year I got a part-time job as a night clerk at K General Hospital. It's not a big place, just 7 floors, outpatients, surgery, internal medicine, pediatrics, and a small psychiatric ward that everyone pretends doesn't exist. As a night clerk, I wasn't a nurse. I didn't touch patients. I sat behind the counter at the nurse station, answered phones, filed paperwork, and called the on-call doctor if something beeped too long. On my first night, the head nurse, Mrs. Kimura, gave me a quick tour. If you get lost, all corridors eventually circle back to the nurse station, she said. It's like the hospital wants you to come back here. She laughed, but her eyes didn't. She showed me the staff bathrooms, the medicine room, the locker room, the staff-only elevator that went to the basement, where the old records and ancient equipment lived. We stopped in front of a wall calendar at the end of the hall. Last thing, she said. The night shift rules. There were printed sheets taped neatly to the board. 1. Don't answer unknown internal calls between 3:03 and 3:33 a.m. 2. Don't take the elevator to the 7th floor after 1 a.m. 3. Don't open any door tagged already discharged. 4. If you hear a bed being rolled behind you, don't turn around until you reach the nurse station. I laughed. Is this some kind of hazing? I asked. Like a hospital version of 7 School Mysteries? Mrs. Kimura smiled thinly. Think of them as stress reduction guidelines, she said. If you ignore them, you'll still live. But you'll have to live with what you saw. She patted my shoulder. Easier not to see. For the first few weeks, nothing weird happened. I worked mostly on the 4th floor, internal medicine and long-term patients. Old men watching late-night TV, old women whispering to each other, the occasional family member falling asleep in a chair. I filed insurance forms, restocked gloves, and made coffee for whoever looked the most dead inside at 2 a.m. The internal phone system was old, with physical buttons for each room, 401A, 401B, 402, 403A, 403B, and so on. When a patient needed something, they pressed the call button by their bed, and the nurse station phone lit up with their room number. One night, around 3:15 a.m., I was alone at the station. The nurse on duty, Aya, was checking on a patient at the far end of the ward. The building hummed softly, the way large buildings do when most of the people inside are asleep. The phone lit up. Caller ID, 403B. I checked the patient board automatically. 403B. Name, Hayashi, Toshiro. Status, discharged, 6 days ago. I frowned. Oh, someone must have updated it wrong, I muttered. Still, the sheet clearly said discharged. Someone had drawn 2 lines through the name and written in tiny letters, expired. I glanced at the clock. 3:16 a.m. I remembered Rule 1. Don't answer unknown internal calls between 3:03 and 3:33 a.m. The call wasn't unknown. The display clearly said 403B. And internally, I told myself that whole rule sheet was probably just to scare new staff anyway. The phone kept ringing. I picked up. K, hospital, 4th floor nurse station, I said, trying to sound professional. How can I? Static hissed in my ear. Not loud, just present, like the sound between radio stations. For a second, I thought the line was dead. Then I heard breathing. Slow, wet breathing. Nurse, a voice whispered. It was old and hoarse, like someone with fluid in their lungs. This is the clerk, I said, forcing my voice not to shake. Do you need something? Cold, the voice rasped. I'm cold. Can't find my call button. I glanced at the call panel. The light for 403B was steadily on. You found it, I said weakly. You called the nurse station. Are you sure you're in 403B? Static crackled. Room says 403, the voice wheezed. B, like before. I swallowed. Hayashi-san? I asked, remembering the name on the sheet. Silence. Then a wet cough, close to the receiver. Is that my name? The voice asked. I forget. No, chart. The phone suddenly felt too heavy in my hand. Please, bring a blanket, the voice whispered. It's so cold. My feet. I can't feel my feet. The base of my spine tingled. I'll send the nurse, I said. Please wait. I slammed the phone down before he could answer. The light for 403B stayed on. Aya returned, rubbing her eyes. Everything okay? She asked. I explained, stumbling over the words. Maybe some idiot plugged the phone back in, she said, frowning. 403B is supposed to be empty. Come on. We walked down the corridor together. As we got closer, I noticed something I'd never paid attention to before. Between 403A and 403B, most of the doors had small magnetic name plates, the patient's name, their doctor, a color code for their condition. But 403B's door was different. No name. Just a plastic sign screwed into the wood at eye level. Already discharged. Aya tried the handle. Locked. She inserted a staff key, turned it, and opened the door a crack. A wave of cold air rolled out, colder than the corridor, colder than the windowless bathroom down the hall. She stepped inside and flicked the light switch. Nothing. No power, she muttered. Weird. I hovered at the threshold. In the faint light from the hallway, I saw a bed, bare metal frame, no mattress, no sheets. A heart monitor, unplugged. An old force stand leaning against the wall. No curtains. No chair. No patient. Aya walked to the bed, her footsteps echoing. No one's here, she said. Everything's been removed. You heard wrong. The phone rang, I insisted. The light is still. I glanced back down the corridor. The call light for 403B had gone dark. Sometimes the system glitches, Aya said, shrugging. Ghost in the machine. Just ignore it if it happens again, okay? And don't answer anything between 3 and 3:30. Kimura-san told you that, right? Yeah, I said. I didn't say that when I'd answered the phone. The call time had been exactly 3:16. Or that as we left, the already discharged sign on the door felt like it was watching me go. After that night, small things changed. The phone would light up occasionally between 3 and 4 a.m., showing 403B, but if I picked it up outside the forbidden window, there'd be no one there. Just soft static, and sometimes a faint sound like water dripping. A few times, when the floor was quiet, I'd hear wheels squeaking softly somewhere behind me. Like a bed or a gurney being pushed, very slowly, just out of sight. Rule 4 echoed in my head. If you hear a bed being rolled behind you, don't turn around until you reach the nurse station. I always turned. There was never anything there. One night, I found a damp footprint on the floor outside the door to 403B. Just one. Bare, wrinkled, toe pointed toward the nurse station. After that, I stuck to the rules. Mostly. The hospital had its own folklore, of course. Old nurses like to talk when they're tired. Aya told me about the man who died during surgery and kept pressing his call button in the recovery room. Another nurse swore she saw a woman in a blood-soaked gown limping toward the elevator at 2 a.m., but the security cameras showed nothing. When I asked about the already discharged signs, though, they clammed up. Just maintenance tags, one said. Just administration's way of saying don't use this room, said another. But none of them would look directly at the sign on 403B's door. One afternoon, when the ward was quiet, I scanned the printed room list on the computer. 401, 402, 403A, 404, 405. No 403B. It was physically between 403A and 404, but the system simply skipped the room. The fan of the ancient computer whirred as I stared at the absence. "Looking for someone?" Mrs. Kimura asked, appearing over my shoulder. "Just trying to get used to the room numbers," I said. "Does every hospital skip some?" "Sometimes," she replied. "Like hotels. No 4th floor, no room 444. Superstition." "But the door is there," I said. "And it has a phone." She regarded me for a long moment. "We used to put charts on it," she said finally. "Some patients stay longer than others. Sometimes the chart outlives the body. Administration doesn't like that." She patted my shoulder. "Just follow the rules," she said. "They're there so you can go home and still eat properly." I didn't understand what that meant until later. The second time I broke a rule, it was because of a drunk. Around 2:50 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday, the ER called to say they were sending up a new patient, a man in his 50s with chest pain. The nurses were busy preparing the bed in 406. I stayed at the station to handle calls. At 3:02 a.m., the elevator doors opened and the patient arrived, loud and complaining even through his oxygen mask. "Why do I have to be here?" he slurred. "It's just heartburn. Let me smoke." His wife trailed behind, eyes swollen from crying. Aya and another nurse helped transfer him to the bed. "Naoki, can you print his labels?" she called. I was halfway through printing when the phone lit up. 403B. 3:04 a.m. Rule 1 shouted in my head. Don't answer unknown internal calls between 3:03 and 3:33 a.m. But 403B wasn't unknown anymore, was it? It was something. The patient in 406 groaned loudly. The printer jammed. The phone kept ringing. On the 8th ring, I snapped. I grabbed the receiver. "This is the nurse station," I said. "You're not supposed to call at this time." Silence. Then, very softly, "You answered." The voice was the same as before, but closer now. Less static between us. "Hayashi-san?" I asked. "Is that you?" "I discharged," the voice said. "Already discharged. They wrote it on my door." I swallowed. "You're not supposed to be here," I said, because I didn't know what else to say. "You died." A wet chuckle rattled in my ear. "Everyone dies here," the voice whispered. "Some go. Some stay. I'm not good at leaving." Something scraped faintly, like fingernails on plastic. "Tonight," he said, "it's crowded. Too many leaving at once. No one watching the doors." A loud alarm beeped suddenly at the other end of the ward. The heart monitor in 406. The beeping accelerated into a high, flat whine. "Naoki!" Aya shouted. "Get the crash cart." I dropped the phone. The line didn't cut. As I ran for the cart, I could still hear the faint voice spilling out of the receiver. "Cold, so many, waiting." The man in 406 coded. His heart stopped. Doctors pounded his chest, nurses injected drugs, the wife screamed in the corner. I pressed myself against the wall, useless, listening to the rhythm of their attempts. Come on," someone muttered. "Stay with us." For a moment, the monitor flared back into a jagged rhythm. Then flatlined again. Time of death was called at 3:17 a.m. Outside in the corridor, unnoticed, the call light for 403B went out. After they took the body away, after the wife's sobbing faded down the elevator shaft, I slumped into a chair at the station. "You okay?" I asked. She shook her head, then nodded, then laughed humorlessly. "First code?" she asked. "For me, yeah," I said. For you? 12th, she replied. Still hate it. She lit a cigarette, remembered the no smoking sign, and crushed it before lighting it properly. From the corner of my eye, I saw the already discharged sign on 403B, lit by the weak corridor lights. Do you ever feel like? I began, then stopped. Like what? She asked. Like some deaths pull others with them, I said slowly. Like, when one person leaves, someone else gets pulled into that empty space. She studied me. You've been reading too many creepypasta, she said. Or you're paying too much attention. She tapped her temple. This place is full, she added. Full of things that want witnesses. If you make eye contact with all of them, you'll starve to death trying to swallow dinner at home. She nodded toward 403B. Best you can do is not open the doors they've already closed, she said. I tried not to look at 403B after that. I avoided the corridor at 3 a.m. I left the phone to ring if it ever lit up in that half hour. Sometimes, though, when I walked past during safer times, I thought I heard water dripping on the other side of the door. Once, as I passed, something thumped softly against the wood at knee level. Like a hand. Or a foot. I didn't stop. Final exams came and went. I got used to the night rhythm, the late admissions, the quiet hours, the whispered jokes. I even forgot, for a while, that the hospital had rules. Then came the new clerk. His name was Daichi, a first year who wanted real experience for his resume. He was bright, eager, and annoyingly unafraid of everything. On his first night, I walked him through the routine the way Mrs. Kimura had for me. And these are the night shift rules, I said, pointing to the board. He squinted. Don't answer unknown internal calls between 3:03 and 3:33, he read. Don't go to the 7th floor, don't open already discharged, don't turn around if you hear a bed. He laughed. Seriously, he said. This is like a horror game. Just follow them, I said. Okay? It's easier. He grinned. Senpai, you don't actually believe this, do you? He said. You're just messing with me, right? I thought of the voice on the phone. The damp footprint. The man in 406. I believe in making it to breakfast without losing my appetite, I said. That's enough. He shrugged. Okay, he said. I'll play along. But I saw the glint in his eye. The same curiosity I'd had on my first night. I considered telling him about 403B specifically. Then I thought of the wet chuckle and the words tonight, it's crowded. Some part of me wanted to believe that if I didn't speak of it, it would stay on my side of the door. So I said nothing. At 2:58 a.m. on Daichi's third night, a thunderstorm hit the city. Rain hammered the hospital windows, white flashes lit up the corridors like camera flashes. The lights flickered once, twice, but stayed on. Daichi sat at the station, spinning a pen between his fingers. Kind of fun, right? He said. Feels like a movie. I checked the clock. 2:59. Just don't wander off, I said. And if the phone rings between 3 and 3:30, let it ring. He smirked. Sure, he said. I went to help Aya in the supply room. When I came back, the nurse station was empty. The phone was ringing. 403B. 3:11 a.m. My heart dropped into my shoes. Daichi? I called. No answer. The call light for 403B pulsed steadily. I grabbed the phone with a shaking hand. Don't, Aya hissed behind me. Let it. Daichi? I barked into the receiver. For a second, there was only static. Then a weak laugh. Senpai, Daichi's voice said. You really believe this stuff, huh? Relief washed through me. Where are you? I demanded. This is not the time to screw around. Get back to the station. I'm in 403B, he said. Obviously. My knees almost buckled. What did I just tell you? I hissed. That's the one door you don't open. The sign is just a sign, he said. There was no one here. No bed. Nothing. Just dust. I thought maybe the phone glitch was in here, so I came to check. The handset was on the floor. I picked it up. Now I'm calling you. I clutched the cord so hard my fingers hurt. Put the phone down, I said. And get out. Now. Relax, he said. Seriously, it's fine. There's nothing He stopped. Daichi? I said. Hey. Answer me. Silence. Then the soft sound of water dripping on plastic. Cold, a voice whispered. Not Daichi. Feet, cold. The line went dead. I dropped the receiver. The call light for 403B stayed on. Stay here, I told Aya. Like hell, she said, grabbing my arm. You're not going alone. We walked down the corridor together. The storm outside boomed, the building creaked. As we got closer to 403B, I felt the air temperature drop. My breath fogged faintly. Don't open it, Aya said. We call security. We wait. He's in there, I said. I heard him. Did you? She muttered. The already discharged sign glared at us from the door. The call light blinked above it, steady and patient. I reached for the handle. Aya grabbed my wrist. If you open it, she said quietly, you will see something that will follow you home. Forever. You won't sleep. You won't eat. You'll quit. You'll break. Is he worth that? He's 19, I said. It's his third night. Her jaw clenched. Lightning flashed, throwing our shadows long on the walls. For a second, in that flash, I thought I saw another shadow between ours, small, hunched, clinging to the underside of the bed I knew wasn't there. The call light blinked. I took my hand off the handle. Then what do we do? I whispered. Aya took a deep breath. Step away from the door, she said. Back to the station. Now. But. Now, she snapped. We walked back, one step at a time, her fingers digging into my arm. The phone stopped ringing when we reached the station. A minute later, the elevator dinged. Daichi stumbled out of it, soaking wet. Bathroom flooded, he said shakily. On 3. The ceiling leaked. I went to check. Lost signal. Did you call me? I stared at him. His shoes squelched water onto the floor. On his wrist, faint and wrinkled, were impressions like fingers. 5 of them. As if someone with wet, cold hands had grabbed him and pushed him into the elevator. We thought you were in 403B, I said. His face went white. What? He whispered. Why would I go there? He looked genuinely confused. I looked at Aya. She shook her head. Don't, she mouthed. Behind us, at the end of the corridor, something slowly pressed against the inside of 403B's door. Just once. A soft bulge, then release. Like a body trying to remember the shape of leaving. I don't work at General Hospital anymore. I lasted until graduation, then I got a job that never sees 3 a.m. fluorescent lights. Sometimes, though, when I visit a friend who's hospitalized, I glance at the room signs. If I see already discharged, I walk the other way. At night, in my apartment, when the building creaks and the pipes knock, I hear echoes of bed wheels and internal phones ringing just out of reach. I never, ever answer unknown calls between 3:03 and 3:33. And if I wake up in the dark with my feet feeling too cold, like they're hanging off the edge of the bed into air that isn't my bedroom, I don't look down. Hospitals are full of doors that people went through once and never came back from. Some of those doors don't like being closed. So if you're ever on night shift in a hospital in Japan and you see a printed list of rules taped to the wall, don't laugh. They're not there to scare you. They're there to keep you from opening the wrong room just because someone on the other side says, I'm cold. Can you bring me a blanket?